let's see. All right, now we're recording. Cool. So
Oh yeah.
it's actually funny you say that. So I tried to get, there's this lady called Christine Jones, who's a
Hmm.
doctor on soil science, because that's
Sure.
what people are really looking forward to seeing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I emailed her about like, hey, I have a podcast. Do you want to come on? And she emailed me back it's like heartbreaking email about her mom has dementia.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh no. She's like, I've retired from the public space and all of this. And I
Mhm.
was like, ah, man,
So close.
okay. And like in my head for a moment, I was like, it would really only be like an hour or two. Like,
Yeah.
I think
And
she'd be
like
okay.
public space is like wild
Yeah.
to say for this podcast. No
Yeah.
offense.
It's not the barely the private space, really. And but what she did, like, and I didn't ask her to do this, but
Hmm.
she put me on an email chain with
Yeah.
all of these other like high level doctor
Yeah.
microbiologists from around the
Sure.
world.
Oh shit.
And on like the bottom of the email thread, it says like this email thread is super secret and it is not to be shared with anybody, and that legal
Mhm.
action could result from that. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh. So she's like, you should just reach out to somebody. And I'm like, should I? Because are they going to be like, who blabbed?
Yeah.
Someone blabbed. Someone gave,
I
and
guess you did.
I've just been scrolling through it, reading all of this stuff, and it's actually very interesting. I've learned a lot, but
Yeah.
there is an email chain out there with all of like the top soil microbiologists, and Sam is one of the
Yeah.
people on that chain.
Listen,
They keep
it's your foot in
replying
the
all,
door.
so
I would use it, do some research, see which one you like. Nice. Yeah. So just a real quick, what
yeah.
public library did you steal a microphone from?
First of all, that's very offensive. First of all, I'm deeply offended because I paid well into three figures for this. Well into the three figures. How dare you? How dare you? I don't appreciate that. This is a
Sorry.
legitimate microphone. You're
I
just
know.
upset that you don't have a microphone. You have microphone envy.
Yeah, why didn't you mail it to me before this podcast? It's a little rude to
Yeah, oh,
do
I'm
that to
sorry.
me.
I'm sorry. I wanted to do it in person. Why didn't you
Sure.
fly to Maine?
Yeah. But like a microphone is a little, it might be actually the same, to be honest. We could do a part two in
We'll do a follow up.
the summer when I come visit.
Oh yeah, we'll do a
Yeah,
follow
for
up.
sure.
We'll do a follow up.
So yeah, you're in the soil.
I'm
It's
in the
kind of,
soil
I
game.
feel
I'm in
like
the
you're starting into
podcast
that
game.
territory where, yeah, or like those clips that keep going around from like the Joe Rogan podcast with the mushroom guy. He's like, there's some stuff with mushrooms that I can't legally talk about. And we're like, what the
Yeah, and he
fuck?
said that about portobello mushrooms, and I eat those all the time.
Yeah,
And I was like, you need to
yeah,
start talking because I have consumed pounds of these things. What did I put in my body? And he looked at him like wide open
yeah,
eyes, like, I don't want to speak about this because it puts my life in danger. What? What do you mean it puts your life in danger?
yeah. I guess maybe like big food company after him,
You
big
think? Like,
veggie
what do you think they're
life.
doing to portobello mushrooms?
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't eat as many as I should, so I'm not really in that space.
Should you eat any?
But
That
one
might be
day,
the question.
yeah, I mean, really I mean, we could use that for anything these days, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Um, unfortunately. But yeah, thanks for having me on the pod.
Have you listened to the pod at all?
I didn't know where to find it.
So this is a big question that a lot of my fans have. Where is it?
Where is it?
So I'll tell you this. I tell you where it's not. It's not on Apple because I can't for the
Yeah.
life of me figure out how to put this podcast onto Apple Pods.
That seems like a YouTube gig first and then to Apple. I don't know
Yeah,
if you can go
potentially.
straight to Apple.
Potentially.
Um, yeah, I mean, also, just seeing if you can get into the local Orono Library Archive, that could be a way to reach the target demographic. Just really just pumping up the library. I'm just shouting out libraries in this episode. That's all I'm
And
here
you're
for.
doing it at my expense. You don't need to put me down to lift libraries up. I hope you know that.
I do, but what
You
else?
don't know why I had to be. And on the anniversary of D-Day, we're supposed to be celebrating Americans, and I'm an American.
Yeah, so here we are.
Is
Really?
today the anniversary of D-Day?
No, I think that's December. No, that's Pearl Harbor.
When was
Uh,
D-Day?
I don't
When
think
was D-Day? June 6th. Oh, it was yesterday.
yesterday.
Have I ever told you my D-Day story?
No, potentially we can. Let's see what we got.
So when I was like 8 years old, I was at a hockey game for the University of Maine, and they were doing
Sure.
like Military Appreciation Month,
Yeah.
and or it was week. It was Military Appreciation Week, and so there was two games, and for each game they had like a veteran come out, and
Yeah.
no, it was month. It was definitely month because there was
Okay. So
multiple
November.
games that they did this, and so like the first few games they brought out people, and everyone's just like, "Ooh," and just going crazy, blah blah. And then like by veteran six or seven, people started to lose a little steam. And
Yeah.
yeah, and they brought out someone who was like, I think they were in the Coast Guard, and people like
Uh,
they didn't get up. They didn't stand up from their seats, and it was like a couple claps. And
yeah.
so the
Yeah.
last guy, the
National
last guy,
Guard is tough.
the puddle pirates is what my high school teacher used to call them. He said he was in the Navy, so he was allowed to call them that. And then on a main
Yeah.
studies
Sure.
trip, on a main studies trip, we went to the Coast Guard, and they were like, "We'll show you how we take down the bad guys. Does anyone volunteer?" And my teacher volunteered me, and I got a knee into the back of my neck and then was accosted. And the guy was like, resist. And I was like, I can't. And he goes, exactly. We know what we're doing. And then like used it as a point to the entire class. I'm like, I'm in seventh grade. You're a fully grown adult male who's gone through
Yeah.
military training. I would hope you could take me down. This doesn't prove you can
Yeah.
defend us from terrorism.
There is that, like, we've often talked about, prime experiences in every boy's life. And there is this weird like age of like middle school to like high school ish. I mean, we're all like, testosterone up at that time, but it's like there's such an element of that in just like every adult man telling a teenager that.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I would sure hope so, dude. Like, you're in charge.
Well, it's an easy win. It's an
Yeah,
easy
it
win.
sure
You
is.
see, I mean, you see kids on the street, you look at them, you go, oh, easy win. It's an easy win for me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not even break. I
Easy
could
dub.
like we talk about it. How many eighth graders could you fight?
Yeah. Good question.
Eighth grade's tough. They're
Um,
kind of getting big at that point.
yeah, there's some t big ones out there for sure. Like you always see those like I don't know, like Southern high schools that are all football, and it's like this
Oh
guy's
yeah,
in eighth grade. He's 400 pounds, and you're like, what in the world
I know,
is
dude.
happening? Like, he's already signed, and we're like, that's predatory at best.
I played up when we were playing hockey one time. We went up to Canada and we played. I
Yeah,
think this must have been around middle school. They had a kid on the team had a beard. He had a full grown
yeah,
beard, and our coach was like, "There's no way. There's no way this kid is." I know French Canadians. There's no shot this kid is 12. But
yeah.
no,
There is definitely a couple of those in our school. Not in the public high school, not in the high school I went to, but like, yeah, around like already freshman, like sophomore year, full beard, and we're like, hello?
listen, I'm telling you what, they're putting something in those portobello mushrooms, especially down
Yeah.
south. You get some big beefcakes out of those. Everyone drinks milk. Portobello mushrooms and milk. You'll beef right up. So,
Swole.
hockey game. At the hockey game, they bring out this last guy. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah, yeah.
ancient, ancient.
Mm.
And they bring him out and he's just like smiling and he's super happy and he's waving to everybody. and they were like, blah, 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 Donald, blah, 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 is like a veteran of World War II and a survivor of D-Day. And people are like, oh, okay. And then they just start going on. And they were like, he was one of the first people to land and make beachhead in Omaha Beach, which had the deadliest casualties. He fought valiantly, though, even though his entire platoon was wiped out by the Nazi gunners on the ridge. He fought valiantly and made it to the wall and was one of the first to break the Nazi line. And we're like, oh crap. And you could see like the entire audience, you could feel like, oh, we got to stand up for this guy. He's an American hero. And the
Yeah.
whole time he was like, yeah. This old dude. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
Yeah, that's wild. Not to, just like have flashbacks on the ice, you know.
Just go into full war mode.
Yeah.
Oh, I've I
Yeah,
have
that's crazy. But also, it's always funny. Like I'm sure like you could go into the archive and like find that out, but also like no one cares at this point if or if not he was one of the first ones on the beach. Like
could have
who
totally
else?
lied.
Yeah. Who else is gonna fact check him? They're like
His entire
we're down.
platoon died.
It feels like we're down to the last five, you know?
It feels like I'm not gonna, and not
Five.
to make stolen valor, but it
Yeah.
feels like his, I mean, he said his entire platoon died. So he's in a
Yeah.
situation where he gets through and everyone's like, what happened? He goes, let me tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Let me tell you what happened.
I listen, not for this guy, but like I've just seen so much of just like, and I know this has been said before, but like lying before the internet must have been amazing.
Oh yeah.
It's just like
It was an art
you could
form.
just say stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do
Well,
it.
now it's an art form. Now you have to really be good at it. Before you didn't have to be good. Anyone could do it. What's
Yeah,
the John Mulaney's got the whole bit about like when you used to commit a crime, people used to tell people you let them know it was Bonnie and Clyde because as long as you weren't
yeah,
there when the police showed up, you got away with it.
you're pretty good. Yeah, that's why they had wanted posters and all that sort of stuff. Well, the towns were smaller potentially, but it's also like you could just lie and get away with it pretty easily. I
How?
mean, I don't know if this is still happening, but like dudes used to have whole other families, same town.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I mean,
It's,
it obviously, it probably still happens,
yeah, it does,
but
but
you
I
gotta
think it's
like you gotta be good at it now. You gotta think it through.
real good. And but then it's also now it's the whole thing of like the kids are like the whoever girl is with, it's like why aren't you posting me anywhere? Or it's
Mm.
like he's
I
like
got
I
another
don't have
family.
social
I got
media,
another city.
like just I travel, the trucker guy just making it around town.
Do you think wanted
But
posters
yeah,
like what do you
what
think
a
the
time.
like the effectiveness of a wanted poster was back in the day?
I mean, about as good as he gets. I mean, because he really couldn't do a whole lot more with the radio to tell people what to look out for.
That's true.
And just other than reading out the description. But towns were smaller, so like people knew each other more, or like who was about who's the newcomer in town.
Mm,
Like, you don't look like you're from around here. But also, like, if you had a beard in the wanted poster and then you shaved it and then went
exactly.
complete, like, shaved your head too, you're a whole different guy. And there are
Absolutely.
stories of that too.
Was it?
Anything from like getting away with a crime, to, like breaking out of prison, whole Shawshank situation.
Oh, that's true. I mean, didn't a
Yeah,
bunch of people break out of prison recently? We caught them within like a couple days. Caught pretty much all of them.
sure.
I
Shawshank was a long
believe.
time ago, if in movie wise,
Prison
and it was
break.
also a fictional place. But um,
I believe.
I
Yeah,
will say though, well,
10 inmates escaped from prison in New Orleans.
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I
And we caught them all.
will. Nice. Can I tell you that sometimes, like, I do have a couple of memories as a kid that, like, a couple of times that like we were driving home, and we're like, small town, but like pretty rural in a lot of spots. And like there's this from this town, Thomaston, or maybe it's in Warren, but there's the prison there. And then like one day I vividly remember this. My mom was like driving us from school on Buttermilk Road, if that's not the most main road. Anyway, um, and there were just like three guys in jumpsuits, like orange jumpsuits, just like walking on the side of the road. We didn't like stop or anything, but we're like, I'm like, hey, those are
Oh
those
my
are
God. The
fucking guys.
Buttermilk Bandits.
For sure. Incredible name. But yeah, I vividly remember like an instance where I was like, orange jumpsuits, we don't live too like you if you wanted to. And we were like we also lived close in Thomaston. It's called the Maine State Prison Showroom, where like I guess certain convicted people are allowed to do like woodworking of some sort, and then they can sell and work in the store there.
Oh, okay.
And it's like anything from bowls and chairs, they like sell kindling and like all of that. And obviously at yeah, you have to be on good behavior, but and there's like uh an officer there like working by the register for them.
Interesting.
But it's like, I don't know. They're like, hey boss, I'm going for a smoke break, and then they just walk off.
I was about to ask you that, like, oh, but wait a minute. Do you remember what year this was? Thompson
Oh,
Prison, Maine.
if I would probably I would say 2010 to 2015.
Let me see. I wonder did you ever get to the bottom of what happened to those guys?
No.
I'm seeing an article right now from 2020 that says Thompson is still looking for the right idea at former state prison site. So it looks like they shut it down.
Yeah, they moved it.
Oh,
Um,
they moved it to Warren in '02.
yeah, so maybe '02 to '10.
Okay, interesting.
But yeah, it was a wild time.
Okay, so
Um,
I'll read you incidents from their Wikipedia page.
ooh.
We'll start with November 11, 2005. Portland Phoenix newspaper began an expose series detailing the prison's alleged misuse of forcible extraction techniques and restraint chairs. Following a wave of public criticism, corrections promised to de escalate the use of restraint chair and asked the U.S. Department of Justice, National Institute of Corrections to review the management of Maine Supermax. And then
No.
in '08, Chassis, I don't know, by then a prisoner of that prison, took another prisoner and a staff member hostage, had what appeared to
Oh.
be a knife taped to his hand. After a 7 hour standoff, the hostages were released with minor cuts, and then Michael Chassis died while at the New Jersey State Prison, where he had been sent since Maine could no longer hold him prison to his behavior. He was too rough for Maine. That's the thing about
Oh.
Maine is if you get too out of hand, we can't deal with you, and we got to send you to New Jersey.
Yeah, that's where the real ruffians are. Um, I'm also trying to do some research, seeing may say moved to one of the former prisons that was destroyed.
It's so crazy. Did you
Where is the
guys like report
2010?
them, or were you just like, you know what? That's none of our business.
I don't remember. I was definitely a kid, so I wasn't really going to be the one to take initiative. Oh, um,
Mom, pull the car over, and you get out. You put your little plastic sheriff's badge on from your Woody set. Fellas, what do we think
yeah.
we're doing out here?
Uh, I have no idea if this was just the first thing that came up. So I don't know if this would be the one, but we have yeah. Oh, what's this one? Hold on.
I'm holding. We got time. I wonder, like, if it's easier. Like, how easy was it to break out of prison back in the day? Like we're talking 1850.
Yeah, I don't
How
know.
easy was it really to get out of prison? Because it didn't look too
We have
hard.
uh I don't know if this would be it, but it says Rockland, Maine, two men who escaped from prison in November have had 3 years tacked onto their prison term for their antics. On Thursday, Arden Shaw, 37, and Robert Fogg, 28, both pleaded guilty to escaping from Bulldog Correctional Facility. Both were returned to, so I don't know if, they escaped. I don't know if they would have ended up walking on Buttermilk Road.
How would you describe a prison break?
But
Would you describe it as antics?
yeah, it's a very Maine way to describe it for sure.
A
It's a
bunch of
little bit
antics.
whimsical of our small town, their antics.
Our
You could also
improv
call what
show
they
was
did to get into
antics. Our improv shows were antics. A prison break is a federal
we should be
crime.
in prison for it. And we should be in prison for both. Let me tell you.
A lot of people who went to those shows described it as being held in prison. They actually
Yeah.
reached out to the correctional institution and they were like, we need to get these guys in New Jersey because this is off the rails.
Like, it's like one of our cast members' friends who just like didn't crack a smile the entire show, but decided to sit front row.
The thing is, like, only your friends
Just
come and
like
then you,
later, and he was like, we were like, did your friend have an okay time? She was like, he was like, yeah, she had a great time. And we were like,
can
tell
you
her
tell her
face.
that? Can you tell her face she had a good time? Because I
Yeah, I
don't think
know.
her face
Tell her face.
knows. What do you think the weirdest
Oh
show we did
goodness.
was? Do you think it was that cult show?
It has to be yeah, it honestly, hands down, has to be the when there was no power.
Oh,
It has to be. No other show like can come to mind than that show.
wasn't that the one where that kid that was in the group who like didn't he showed up for the first meeting of the year and
Yeah,
then didn't show up for
Ryan.
months. And at one point, I had
Ryan.
looked on Snapchat location, and his little avatar was in the
Yeah,
Nile River in Egypt. It was in the Nile River, and I was like, "Well,
and
I
he
guess
just
he
tossed
died.
his phone,
I guess he
or he
died.
just tossed it, phone off
Maybe
the lamb.
wasn't he on a wanted list?
Yeah.
What was it? Was it the national wanted
Uh,
list?
Andrew, can we fact check that real quick? I don't think so. That would be wild.
I thought he was on a
Uh,
wanted list of some kind.
I don't think so, because like I don't know if we even want him in the group. You know what I'm saying? Um, I don't know if this is get monetized. We're outing a lot of people.
We are. We
I'm
didn't
not
say
good
any
at
names. I did
that.
one time I did
Can you
do
edit this out?
did you go down to Portland with me and Emma when I did stand up that one time?
That was after. That was
Oh, so
after
I
I had
did
already.
stand up once in Portland and it was like it
Yeah.
was a very tiny show. It wasn't very many people. And it was I was doing it because
Yeah.
I had to do like an actual show in front of like a couple hundred people the next weekend. I was like, well, I should probably practice
Sure.
my jokes. And so we go down
Yeah.
there and Emma and Ryan, and I feel like someone else came to like give me some feedback. And they had a right before I went on, they were like, open mic if anyone wants to hop on. And this kid jumps on stage and then he just freestyled for 5 minutes to dead silence word association about masturbating.
Oh, you
and
had. Yeah, I remember this.
and
Still there, but I didn't come down to Portland.
at one point he's got a stand where he's got the mic and the mic is in the stand and he's still
Yeah.
going. It's about 4 minutes in. And like the person who was running it like reaches up to grab the mic to stop him and he sees it and he just grabs the microphone out of the stand and puts the stand off to the side and just keeps walking around the to dead silence, and he never broke
Gotta,
stride.
gotta respect it, to be
The
honest.
commitment to the bit, and that's what our group was about was commitment to the bit. But
If
that was the
nothing
show.
else.
The Power Outage show was the show where he showed up and it was just like,
Yeah.
"What are we doing?"
Yeah,
And you
it's
were
like,
like,
you
"How do
know,
I tell him he's not in the group?"
yeah, I was like, dude, you can't just like show up. And then we almost got booted because Emma made a abortion joke with the vacuum, almost made an abortion joke with the vacuum.
We were doing
Um,
salesman.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I
I
forgot that was called.
that was a dueling salesman. So for people who don't know, dueling salesman is we have a product, and then one improviser does a little bit about why you should like a little ad of like a CV, like a QVC show ad basically of like why you should buy the product, and you make it funny, and then the next person one ups
Yeah,
them with why you should buy their product, and you go back and forth. And I have to go after Emma, and
damn.
she to finish it off, her escalation is if you can use this vacuum to suck babies out of vaginas.
I think she was like mistakes, and then she was listing mistakes, and one of them was almost a child. But
Oh,
she
okay.
did
She was Emma was a real hit or
before
miss with the
that.
crowd. Not everybody
Yeah,
got her sense of humor.
I mean, it's a very blue area college, so we were close and down the hall from like a lot of posters that were um like pro-choice. Anyway,
Well, we were down the
but
hall from like
okay,
one of the like the sexual health
all,
offices.
yeah, all the clubs. But the power was out, so it's fine. It's no worries. But I will say, okay, I've thought about this bit, because I've seen it used more and more in advertisements or for something, and it's like in usually in the beginning, and I like remember this from my like dueling salesman bit where I think it was just like for a salad bowl and was bowling ball or like salad bowl. I can't remember. One of those was what it was for. And my opening line that I thought of, which I thought was very funny, well, it was, but I see it used all the time, and it's like, guys, I've lost 300 pounds, completely irrelevant, and then like moved on to the thing. And I've seen so many ads on the same thing of like, guys, I've lost a bunch of weight. Anyway, here's a t-shirt. Or like here's some like weird
Anyway,
TikTok shop
Sydney
thing.
Sweeney is
And
selling
I've
soap with
seen
her
it.
bathwater.
Yeah, exactly. And I have seen it too many times to be a coincidence or
Someone
like
at the
enough for
show.
me, hey, check that out of like marketing to be like so many times, or just like I've lost 150 pounds, completely irrelevant. Anyway, here's to like this plastic chew thing to get jaw lines. And we're like, what happened?
Do you
Or
think that's
like,
why what's her face's friend wasn't laughing? Was she was sitting there like, damn, that's a genius idea.
no,
I need to tell my
yeah,
dad.
maybe. Unfortunately, that was just for classic the best stuff is in practice. So it was just during a regular practice. But I've seen it, I don't know, it's like weird to see the bit you just randomly came up with in improv being used in as like a commercial tactic, for like random like it could be like anything from like, buying a second boat to like, slim fast teas. Like they're just like, and it literally goes like, I've lost like this amount of weight, completely irrelevant, and then like goes to what they actually just to like get a hook.
I'm surprised you even remember a lot of these improv bits because for me, I don't know if I do it as like a defense mechanism, but like I legitimately don't remember
But
so much of
I
improv.
remember
I remember moments of improv, but I
fun.
couldn't tell you what we were doing.
I remember, I think just because maybe it's also mine. I just remember like, funny things that happened or I remember my stuff. Um we also have 10 minutes um on
We could
Zoom.
probably stitch it together, so we just go out, come back in.
Okay, we'll take a break.
Take a break. We're gonna say it's a bathroom break.
We'll take
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're doing this
Let's
on
take a
Zoom,
break.
by the way, for people who are listening. It's gonna be like four people who are
And
listening,
so yeah,
mostly women.
I sure. Oh,
That's my
okay.
demographic
That's
is
good to know.
mostly women.
Oh,
If you ever
yeah,
listen to any
nice.
of my podcasts, you'll see that why there's not a lot of growth.
Mm,
I think
sure.
the
So,
you're gonna be following you're gonna be like episode 8 or 9, I think.
oh
And you'll
yeah,
be following a podcast where I talked about the multiverse God simulation hypothesis conspiracy theory.
nice. But yeah, I would say I don't remember like 90% of what we did in improv,
Okay.
um, or like what necessarily was said. I do have some like top highlight moments for sure. And I think I kept that one because it even got like Colby to laugh out loud pretty hard when I did like the 300-pound bit completely irrelevant. So I was like, oh, let's make a note of this. But yeah, most of the time, and especially the my big kind of break in between. So I my started improv, I think the maybe it was like the f first semester of my sophomore year, and I was just very like just talked a lot because I was like, I don't know what we're doing, I don't know what to say, and then like went and did like semester at sea and like kind of chilled out through that experience. But then one night on there, they had an improv night that did really well, and honestly, I was just kind of doing uh a bits of like some Key and Peele, like spoiler, some of my stuff was mine, but it was mostly like just random phrases of like Key and Peele and uh random things from NFL bad lip reading that I had remembered. And the thing, it was like a big night because like everyone was in this hall that we were all in on the boat and the ship, and I was just doing those and it just like killed. So it was very fun to do that. And then I came back and then had a little bit more chill and like knew uh where to how to be funny, but it still grew. And then I became president by default, as all improv presidents probably do.
You were a great president.
Thanks. I
You were a
tried.
great president. I did not enjoy being president a whole lot.
Yeah, it's an interesting set.
It's an interesting
Um,
group of people you have to be in charge of. Like everybody's a little, like a couple wires aren't crossed properly. And so you
yeah.
get like
I
these,
mean, yeah,
people
any
off doing
manager,
whatever. You have Drew, you have like
sure.
Peter, you have John, you have all sorts of different, like the spectrum of personalities.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think uh key to leadership is just letting people do what they think and then just kind of giving suggestions of how to best direct the motor that they're creating.
Were you with us
Not
when we
to
went down to Boston?
I was not, because then I probably wouldn't have let the the guy whoever was in your improv troupe do all the racist jokes.
That was
Or would have been like, hey, I don't know.
But
I don't know
for
if
the
I was
record, I did not want to bring him. For the record, I was worried this was going to happen because I was like,
yeah, yeah.
he's on the edge. And the other people assured me that no, he'll be fine. I'm like, you know where we're going. Like this is an extremely liberal audience. Like you have to know your audience. Like you kind of have to cater towards them. Like when we did a show for a
Yeah.
cult and we're like, we're going to cater this towards the cult and all their little South American gods. And,
Yeah.
you know, I was like, I don't know if he's the best person to bring. He's a freshman. Like, why should we bring him?
Yeah.
And, you know,
I mean, I think just due to numbers, that's why we kind of had, when I was doing like auditions, that we like had so many people to come in. Obviously, you have to kind of fill ranks. But I think, and sometimes people just, I think especially people who get into improv, like may have already think they're funny, so then they'll just like go for the laugh, or like,
yeah,
I don't know. I like Bryan Cranston's bit where it's like the person doing the funny thing can't think it's funny,
no, no,
because
you
then
have
it
to commit to the bit.
we do that much, and you like create more of the yes and stuff. But it's like you're like nervous, you're on stage, you're like on the spot because you don't effectively you don't know your lines.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, often I think now that we're a little bit more removed from it, I like it's a weird trophy. It's like a honestly, it's like having a tr like I don't know if this was in a TV show, but it's like having a trophy, like a little baseball trophy, but the trophy's a potato, and you're like, I was improv president in college. and it's like so many skills have like served me in like thinking on my feet or like
Yeah.
the yes ending, but it's like I don't talk about it to people then like
Oh, me
whoever's
neither.
also been in it. Like as like a fun fact for
Yeah.
sure.
Well,
Being improv president of the university.
it's hard to explain because like you remember the time we went to that high school talent show and
Yeah.
we just competed against the high school.
What was that? I think because that was Casey's idea because
Somebody,
Casey
yeah,
wanted to
somebody that
be
was in the group had
in
gone
this.
to the high school and they got us into their high school talent show. And so we competed
Yeah,
against
they hate
all of the high schoolers in front of their parents and they didn't like us at all.
it. Yeah,
And at the end they
no.
had to vote on who won. Vote us.
They heard rumors that we were like, oh, they're too young. It's like we're in a high school. What do you mean?
No,
What
I
do you
get what you're
mean?
saying though. Like it's
Um,
kind of funny like when you're just like making off the cuff joke and people are like, "Oh man, you're so quick."
yeah,
And I don't know, I just walk around
yeah.
assuming other people think like I do. And then you spend a lot of time in
Mm,
improv and everybody's like that. Like everybody's sort of quick on the pull. And then you just get around people who aren't quick on the
yeah,
pull and it can be very boring, to be honest.
yeah. I definitely try and find friends that if they even if they weren't in improv are down for the bit in just life and just like
Yeah.
kind of taking a dramatic and like taking it away because that's what's fun. It's like making a little story, a little side quest about life, and all that stuff. And yeah, it's just who you can kind of get that banter, as they say, with. What was I thinking? But yeah, and it's very fun. I think I've been watching a lot of Dimension 20, which is like a D&D show on Dropout, which has like a lot of the college humor people.
Hmm.
And it's
Are those
thinking
the
about
people I
trying to
see on TikTok all the time?
probably
Those
because
like
they're
it's like a
like it's a whole
lady and there was like a guy and he threw a dart on like a magnetic board or like there's like a blonde
no, that's
girl and a
Smosh.
chubby face guy.
No, that's Smosh Mouth.
What's that?
Different.
Okay.
It's another internet. It's like oh, what did it? It's like another sect, I guess, of college humor. But this one that I'm talking about is like part of the like make some noise or game changer is a big one. I think I've sent you a lot of clips of like what was a good one? Oh, what was it? Yeah.
All right. Sorry for the technical difficulties, folks. We
This,
are back in business. So
yeah, yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about this because I've wondered
Okay.
this for a little bit now, and we're close friends, and I should know this, and I don't.
Oh
And so
goodness.
I apologize in advance.
Okay.
And this
You're
is a
like who?
personal and this is a personal question. This is a personal question. So if you don't want to answer it, I totally
Okay.
understand.
Gotcha.
You can say I don't want to share that, and we'll move on.
Yeah, yeah.
What is your job?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I can't really disclose that. No. So I am a front desk person for the state court administrator's office here in Colorado. The state court administrator's office provides um, administrative and policy support to all the courts in the state of Colorado, so
Hmm.
in the Colorado Judicial Department. And at the Judicial Center here in Colorado, there's a 12th floor where the state court administrator's office, and there's a front desk and I sit there. And most of my duties are kind of just internal kind of office management with some projects here and there and supplies, and largely answering any kind of like office supplies slash some other areas support. And then I also answer the phone for the state court administrator's office, which
That
is
must
kind
be
of
fun
like
right now.
the bulk of it. Yeah, it's. It's not too bad right now, so it's good. And that's kind of largely a lot of it because people call from all over the state. So I have to sort of assess where they're calling from and where they need to be directed to, either to the courts that they're in the county for, or if they're actually trying to talk to somebody at the state court administrator's office for any number of topics that you could think the courts deal with, kind
And
of all.
how do you ascertain as to where they are? Do you ask them where they are?
Yeah, I was like, so if somebody's like, I just had a case and I want to know the judgment, I'm trying to file this. Um, I was served these papers. I have jury duty that I missed, kind of et cetera. And I go, what county was the jury for, or what county was your case in? And then I kind of direct them to that to call that court. I think we're just the general number for the Colorado Judicial. So a lot of times they'll call me as like a first point of contact, and we'll often get a like, I know this may not be the right office, but I have some questions, and I try and answer it as best I can, or know where to direct them to so they can ask it. And most importantly, I can't answer legal questions as I'm not a lawyer nor have a legal background. Sort of the same thing for
Do
that.
people like ask you like, am I is this bad for me? Like they call about their case and they're like, am what does this
Sure.
mean? And you're like,
Can't tell you. Yeah,
I
sorry.
can't tell you, but doesn't look good.
One of my favorite calls. And it wasn't a fun call, but it's my favorite. But this guy was called and he's like, I have a question for you. And I was like, okay. And he was like, my wife looked up online that, so, or he was like, hold on, I'll let you tell you some backstory. We have a crawl space and it has recently been like infected, not infected, but have like pests in it, and our landlord is have and we have like called an exterminator to get it exterminated from this place that we're renting. So they're not owners of this house, and they were like, my wife looked. The guy was like, my wife looked up online to see if this was legal for our landlord to do, and she it says it is, and he's like, is that true? And I was like, well, first of all, can't give you legal advice. I can't answer legal questions, so I can't really tell you if it is or isn't. And he's like, it's a yes or no question. I was like, I know fully what it is. I just can't answer it. And so he really wanted to hear that I couldn't tell him because obviously I don't know the law. So if it
Wait,
comes back on
he
me,
wanted to sue his landlord for getting rid of the bugs?
no, they had to pay. The tenant had to, were,
Oh, okay. Oh, because that's an even bigger concern of like
yeah,
first
yeah.
the fact whether or not you can sue irrelevant. Why are you upset
The,
that you put the bugs there?
yeah. So I don't know if this is. Yeah, I've kept it. It's just like a random call. It'd be like a spam call, I guess. So I guess
It's a
we're fine
yes or
on
no
we
question. That
did
is
that.
correct. You're right. It is a yes or no question for a
Okay.
lawyer.
And so he like, yeah, yeah. And so like I was like, I can give you like the number for some legal services, or like you should probably talk with a lawyer. And he just like people love a repeat on the phone. Like I didn't hear them the first time. He was like, my wife looked up online and it says it's illegal. And I just went, okay.
Hmm.
Like, okay. And so then he was like, thanks for your help, and then hung up. So customer service is always super fun, but there are so many
Oh yeah,
um,
man.
people that call or like, thank you for picking up the phone, or like, you're the first person I've like been able to talk to about like, that's like one option, but like so many people call about like, so there's probate court, which deals with estates and wills, usually after people die. So people call about that, or like on the opposite end, and people are like,
Wait, is the
I need to get.
is pre-bait before does bait mean like to be alive?
So probate actually, I did look this up, so I'm glad. Thank you for asking. So probate comes from like a Latin term, and obviously every law term comes from Latin, but it's about when in court that they would. It's not like I forget what the term is, but it's like proof that they are dead, essentially, is what it means. Probate.
So proof of death.
Is like, yeah, essentially.
Oh.
That
So
you are like proving you're dead.
so if probate is proof of death,
Hmm.
then what is,
Go ahead.
you know,
Your
I
podcast.
think it's my podcast and I can say what I want
Yeah,
to
yeah,
say.
yeah, sure.
So if probate
Sure.
means
Aristotle thought a lot about this.
proof of
Um,
death, but this was a discussion in Greece at the time. This was a discussion
oh,
in
for
Rome.
sure.
They were like, because he tells people, he goes, probate, proof of death. And then there's a group and they're like, and then there's one person who's like, so if probate, then just follow me here, is proof of death. And Aristotle goes, yes, that's correct. He goes, then
Yeah,
what is masturbate?
yeah. Just really,
Is that Lord of
really good
death?
at proving you're dead. Yeah.
Would that be Lord of death? And that would make sense because a lot of billions die.
Ju- Judicial terms. But yeah, people call for like small claims. Uh,
Okay, we can
let's
segue off of
see.
that.
Okay, I know. I was just like, I'm making sure that I'm doing.
That's what it would mean.
Uh,
And no, we trust. I do need to get someone who fact checks things. That would be a good thing.
that would be
Right now,
helpful.
it's
What's your
me and
sister up to?
ChatGPT. ChatGPT is my Jamie.
Yeah. Okay, so the Latin word probe, I mean, kind of probare, meaning to prove, to test. Its origin traces back to medieval English law. So to prove that you're dead. So, classic ring out you're dead, for lack of a better phrase. But
Hmm.
yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing
Well,
right.
I believe the Latin root of master comes from magister, which
Ooh,
means director, I believe.
ooh, nice.
So,
Really getting into this.
which comes from magis, which means like more or greater.
Yeah.
So one would assume it would mean director of death.
Oh, interesting. We could, or master of proving.
Oh,
Like
is
it's
bait means to prove?
that's what it's saying. Or like the probare in Latin is like to prove. So probare, I guess.
Oh,
Um,
master of proof.
not to
What do
like
you, what is it a proof of?
you're dead.
Can you shoot after death? I know you can pee. I had a dog once that I found dead that had peed and pooped and it was just like in a puddle of it.
Now we're getting to the medical, I guess. We're not monetizing this one for sure, folks. Um, but yeah, like most
It's
of your
true though.
bodily functions are ceased, or like the things that are holding it back cease as well. So,
Yeah.
that usually affects in that way. Yes.
When was the last time you,
But anyway,
when was the
oh
last time you had an
goodness,
accident in your pants?
a long time ago, fortunately.
Do you even remember it?
Um,
I can't for the life of me remember the last time.
well, this is probably a good thing. I'm glad this can be a short segment and then we can get back to what I do for work. But yeah, no, it's been a minute. I pride myself on the consistency of knowing when I need to go to the bathroom.
Have you had a
Uh,
close call?
sure.
I had a close
Uh,
call.
but not too close. I think I've been very fortunate in um
Very
staying
fortunate.
away staying away from foods that would do that to my system.
Hmm.
Um, so that's a plus.
What food when you eat it, you just lose control, would you say? What really just
Um,
gives you the most inhibition?
to feel the rain on my skin, um, to release my inhibition. Oh goodness. Uh, well, coffee is a big one. So I like pretty
Oh
regular
man.
coffee. So that kind of is, I think this is what I thought about for a while, is that I don't know if I would be as I enjoy coffee a lot, so it's like taste and like the smell of it too. It's very like ritualistic for me. But I also think I'm not sure. but I'm not very pro energy drink, even though it's the more intense amount of
Right.
caffeine. So I often wonder, like, would I be as into coffee if it didn't help with that part?
Mm. Mm. That's a great
Like,
question.
if it was the mental, ability to go,
Mm.
that's one thing. But you can get that with a lot of energy drinks. Maybe you just like the taste or something. But I don't know necessarily if I would be as into coffee if it didn't help with that digestion system.
You gotta
But
make it think too. Like, there's a lot of things out there that they give. If they didn't give you anything, would you like
yeah,
them as much? And I'm
yeah.
thinking a lot about. I'm not thinking about some of my friends right now. If I would like them as much,
Oh,
would I
are
like
we
them as much
reevaluating this?
as
Like,
no, not you? It's like, but also like,
yeah,
you know, how many things like this is why I'm not a big beer guy because I don't think it tastes very good.
mm,
And it's just like, what is it
yeah.
going to do
It's
for
also why,
me? But I'm not
like, I
depressed
don't. Same with tea,
with
Like,
tea.
I don't know if, like, I just TEA.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
that I wonder if I'd be as into coffee if
Mm.
tea did both functions. Um,
Well, tea does. Tea
but
can have caffeine.
who knows? It does, but not enough
How much you do? How
to
much
do the
caffeine?
same
How much
same
caffeine are you
situation.
on?
It's a cup of coffee, but it's like
100 milligrams?
being, I don't think it's as strong. I don't know, whatever a
Where's it
cup of
from?
coffee is.
We talking like Middle Eastern coffee? We talking like South
Uh,
American coffee
Probably some Arabica beans.
from Arabia?
But yeah, I don't know. Also, like, my parents will do both, but it's like very still ritualistic to have
Mm.
coffee in the morning, especially when I'm home to sit in the sunroom with my family with a cup of coffee. But
You have any other rituals
um,
you do with your family?
um,
Skin any goats?
and some around the holidays, but uh, that's kind of like one of the big ones. It's one that I look forward to the most, other than like dinner and stuff like that.
Mm.
We're big food people. Luckily, I'm very fortunate that a lot of my family is very good at cooking. And my dad's a big griller, so and he grows a lot of food, so
Mm.
any garden fresh veggies on the grill or chicken is really solid.
What's your diet like right now?
Yo mama, I don't know. Right
Beth Lander is
now,
a saint.
sorry.
Beth
Yeah, I
Lander is
know.
a
I'm
saint.
sorry. I
She's a
apologize.
saint.
I forgot we're also recording this.
We are.
So edit in post for sure.
I won't be editing that out. She still texts. She still thinks
My
it's fun. Every now and then, I'll catch her giggling, looking at me, and there's a 90% chance she's thinking about that time she called me Bubble Boy. She thinks that was so
It was
funny.
class.
And then what's crazy
So
about it to
good.
me
It
was that
is. I
she
agree.
did it not knowing that anyone was listening. She didn't know that I was on the phone with you. She just did it to do it.
Yeah, I know.
I'm in
I
quarantine.
am so thankful to. We're in 5 years of that joke, and I'm still not tired of it.
I'm in quarantine. We're in the middle of a pandemic. And then at this point, we're like, everyone thinks COVID could be deadly. And we're like waiting to
Yeah,
see if I have it. What's up, Bubble Boy?
yeah. So good, so good. But yeah, I'm still. Uh, Interestingly enough, funny you should mention this, but I'm like still using the like shout out My Fit Foods, but they're meals, so it's a lot of like some veggies, rice or gluten-free noodles and like a protein of some kind.
Hmm.
And then like snacks like apples and some been trying to found some like cheap um protein bars that are mostly natural ingredients. I've found that like even protein bars that contain whey in them just
Yeah.
like sit so heavy in my stomach. And sometimes
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh, is this full or is it just actually not being digested? And I
Oh
think
my
it's the
gosh.
not being digested part.
I feel,
So I
dude,
found
they
some
make me,
good ones.
they make me feel when I do, whenever I do like whey protein shakes or something, I feel like I'm trying to
It's
pass a
terrible.
damn softball. Like it hurts so bad. And it's never, I have to go plant protein. Otherwise, my stomach
Hmm.
just can't do it. But I got hot girl stomach. I got
Yeah,
sorority stomach. I can't do anything. I'm on the gluten-free, lactose-free, all
that's
that
tough.
crap.
I am too for the most part. I think we're just very I don't know if it's complex. It's not, I don't think it's simple. Maybe it's complex, but it's like mostly rice in the meals or like a tortilla, um flour tortilla, I guess. So it's like very on something like when I maybe it's just in the quantity. It's probably me just like overeating this amount, but when I like made pizza like a couple of times this past month and I had all that
Wait, not to
mozzarella. I'm
cut you
also
off real
snacking
quick.
on the side.
Not to cut you off real quick, but I didn't preface this. The reason I asked was because you've lost a ton of weight. I wasn't just asking randomly about a
Oh,
diet. Okay. How
I
much are you
don't
down
know.
right now?
Yeah, I'm up unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
So, but um so that's why you just don't blatantly ask people, Sam. Can we cut that part? I don't know. Are you just pulling out for the Yo Mama joke? Come on, man.
I honestly thought I was like, this is gonna be a cool thing Peter can brag.
Yeah, maybe let me
All
bring that
time you're
up.
down. You're all time down though.
I bet what?
All time.
Anyway, so yeah, so I guess I've sort of had any but yeah, since college,
Yeah.
um the lowest I got was like 75 pounds down and then we're up a
Wow.
little bit with a couple years of really getting through going through the ringer
Oh
with
yeah.
life. Um and then but now but okay, so circling back is that started fine well now that I'm in steady employment where I worked and then the house is more stable and there's more just room in general.
Hmm.
On still on the MyFitFood stuff, but I'm trying to motivate myself to start using some other recipes and start cooking
Okay.
because I know that at some point I will not live near, and I guess that time is now technically live near like a meal prep food store, and I'm also like it took 2.5 years to kind of get sick of the meals. So I'm pretty good at eating consistently the
Yeah.
same stuff every time. But yeah, I'm excited now that I have the space and can have the time and the emotional space to emotional uh not tired after work to do so. Gonna start cooking some more and I don't know if this is a plug, but got a recipe book off of uh a guy on Instagram and they're called Tasty Shreds.
Okay.
And they're just like meals, macro friendly meals, but like super solid things that you're making. And I kind of
Who
potentially,
does it?
I guess he's called Taste. I think you can just look up Tasty
Tasty
Shred,
Todd? Tasty Shred?
Tasty Shred. Yeah.
Tasty Shred. Let's pull them up here.
Uh, yeah,
Pull them up here.
do it.
Tasty
So very just macro
Shred.
friendly stuff, but like
Check this guy out.
tasty.
Kyle Smith. Is he white or is he black? I'm seeing a black guy and a white guy.
Let me make sure this. Yeah, yeah, it's Kyle Smith.
So the white guy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Oh,
yeah, just some really solid
ooh,
looking
those
meals
do look good there.
that will be that. And just like yeah, do that more because I think while and I have some plans to go uh at some point here soon work with a nutritionist to
Hmm.
kind of like just not fact check but confirm that I'm like doing it all straight.
Your macros are
Um,
right.
Yeah, macros are right. Things are like I'm at the right amount for my activity level. And like to get some more ideas because I really enjoy because I'm very like all or nothing sometimes with food. So if I can get more like low calorie, high volume stuff,
Yeah.
then it like um tricks your brain. And so you can just I can eat as much as I need, but I want to make sure I'm eating more of the right stuff.
Well, that's
But
also
we got
too, because like I remember when you were really in like you said, you just when you commit to something, you commit and you go full in on it. And
yeah,
I remember vividly, like you sent me texts of like I went on you like went on a quick bike ride today and it was like 60 miles or something. And I'm like,
yeah.
Peter,
Sure. Yeah, I
Peter.
was training for something. I did, training for the triple bypass as sort of like this culminating moment of like post-college weight loss out in Colorado, love
Yeah.
biking.
It was
Um,
Tuesday too. It was Tuesday. I remember it vividly. It was Tuesday and you biked 60 miles.
yeah, it must have been a quarantine ride, potentially, because
Yeah, I think it
I might
was.
have been working at that point
And it
or
was
in
like there
between.
was elevation and everything. And I was like, I almost called you. I was like, are you okay?
Colorado, baby. There's elevation everywhere. Um, but yeah, and sort of like recently it's been working with a nutritionist to be like, I want like, because I think now I was sort of like the problem, we've proven that we can lose weight.
Right.
Um, is key. We did it with meals that we don't have to think about, which kind of needs to change
Mm.
because at some point we won't live near these stores, and I don't know if I'm getting the right amount of food. I might be like, because not every day can be the same. Like some days are lower amounts of calories, some days are higher amounts of calories. But if you're not tracking it, then you're kind of don't know what's going on. And just some more like you are going the right path. But what's been nice. So I'm gonna start that. I don't know if I'll go grocery shopping after this, but I put the recipe book because it's a PDF into ChatGPT, and I was like, can you make me a
Oh,
grocery list off of this PDF with with recipes if you're
that's a
like
good idea.
trying to do this.
That app can
So
do
hopefully I'll
anything.
go off of that. So then I can be like, I'm trying to get down to this, which of my macros and calories be? And I think it was like, a couple like almost 300 more calories than I had been eating. So I sometimes feel like I'm under eating, or I don't know if I'm just hungry. I don't know what's happening, but that
Yeah.
would be helpful to do. So then we can get even leaner, but also trying to find a diet to where um, after the weight loss that we can maintain the leanness. Like I don't like now
Right.
I'm kind of back and I'm like, well, this is stupid. I wish I had now that I know stuff, I wish that I can learn like what is the diet that will keep me at that weight? Because I've also not been like I'm going for 200. We're at like 240 right now.
Okay.
So, going for 200, but I haven't been 200 since seventh grade, which is kind of
Really?
banana. Yeah. Yeah, we've been a big boy out here for a minute.
Well, your parents like to
Um,
cook.
they
That's
do.
the problem
Actually,
when
it was
you, that's the
like,
problem. It's I, every time I have like a friend who goes on like a weight loss journey, it starts with parents used to cook really well. I had one parent who could cook.
well, yeah,
My mom can't cook anything.
it's not really the cook
She can cook up a couple insults
that's
off the quick,
cooking.
but that's about it.
So, yeah, so there's the thing about that is it's not that they're cooking well, it's also like um as a kid you really don't have as much choice in like changing how things are cooked. And
Right.
so
They
you're
just kind of
like,
put food in
you
front
know,
of you.
I was yeah, but I think we had and then also there wasn't a lot of high school wasn't as active or like I would have or it's Maine also. Like we're locked in 9 months out of the year and we're not like a
Right.
winter sport fan. Um, and it's not like I was in sports, and I had a lot of homework and then I just like started eating both out of like boredom, but to also like cope with the hard schoolwork. So that was like a big part of it too. But also I just
Mm.
didn't know. And there were some other things too of like I didn't my and I just the information at the time like
Mhm.
it's almost like the Steve Rogers thing of like and also my parent like we forget about like the early 2000s like so many trend diets
Yeah.
happened
Oh
like
my gosh.
what the South Beach diet, Atkins, Slim Fast
Juicing.
shakes,
What was like a juicing? What was
Weight
the one that
Watch,
Oprah was pushing? Weight
Weight
Watchers.
Watchers, I think.
Yeah.
I think she was a big one of those, and it's like that was ingrained, but also like I also think it's kind of a weird time because it's like my parents are Asian, and I think too of like we never like were unhealthy. I was just like
Hmm.
eating just like too much and
Yeah.
like was very sedentary like at school. We're at school for 8 hours and I had like equal amount of homework after, so there was no real movement and stuff and you're just like a kid. So I also because I think this is it too, is like not just like connecting it to the emotional stuff too, but like the I remember vividly, not just like going to this whole personal
No,
journey,
you're
but
good.
I
You're good.
remember vividly after college and then starting this process where I had like no homework, there was no like class. I had finished school. Like I had done my what I felt was my per the obligation I thought I had to my family, essentially, which is a big emotional thing, whole roller coaster, whole different time. But I remember vividly, and I was just like working a part-time job, but like, and I would do because I started out just like obviously extremely overweight and not well exercised at UMaine, coming back. And so like I would be like do two things, two active things in a day, like maybe one gym thing and then one like help my dad with something. But what I meant sort of actually really remember is that like in having no homework, there was no reason for me to eat after dinner. Like I could like make when because I would like stay up late to just like do homework if I didn't know it, or I would like get home, my brain would be fried. I'd be on the computer till like 8 or 9, and my parents would be like, "Time to go to bed." I was like, "I have to do my homework," so I would be like up way late and
Mm.
get the snacks and that sort of stuff. But like, and then also at the time I was like not in my parents' house, so I could control when I ate. So I would just like eat at 6, be full and then like go to bed because I didn't have to do anything after or like worry that I had like assignments or like things to get done afterwards. There was no like emotional
Mm.
stress getting the homework done or feeling like I couldn't get it done. So that was a big one too. But we're at another 10-minute marker. I don't know if you
So
want to
what do
give me another.
you think about with like this a lot of the Maha stuff? Because obviously they're trying to address obesity, not just like general population, but also like with youth population. I've seen like stats where they think like 2 out of 3 people are going to be overweight to some degree by like
Mhm.
2050 or something like that. And
Sure.
they're trying to get ahead of it. What do you think of that, having gone through that journey of like losing all the weight?
What's Maha?
It's the like make America healthy people. Like,
Oh.
RFK and these influencers that are going out and they're talking about like getting chemicals out of food and talking about all this stuff and then arguing with each other about this, that, and the other. Like
Yeah.
they've taken soda and they've taken a bunch of other stuff off of Snap, basically saying that while those foods give calories, obviously, that it's a nutritional program and they don't offer much nutrition, and that nutrition and calories aren't the same. And we should be giving kids nutrition, not just like empty calories, which I guess there's an argument for. But
Yeah.
obviously, it depends on, like as you said, like it's not just like it's rarely just like there was just a lot of food and that's why the kid got, like there was other things going in of, like you said, like you ate dinner and then you had all this homework and then by the time you finish your homework you're hungry again, and how are you going to fall asleep when you're hungry? It's really hard,
Mm.
and you go and you have a little snack and then just like it adds up. And you weren't on Snap as far as I'm aware, you know.
Yeah.
So how do you help all of these kids of being aware? Is it just like, do you think it would have made a difference if the government had said, "Hey, Peter, be aware of like the snacking could cost you"?
No, because you're a kid, so you don't care.
Right.
Um, I think, and obviously that's the whole point of being a kid is like this is like I'm sneaking this treat,
Right.
um, and stuff. And I think, I mean, I mean, it's a kid situation, so it's like not, um, at some point, I think there is sort of like a like, and also to the same point, I wasn't in charge of my schedule. um either. So that's part of it too. Is just like you're an adult, you can have more control. So I was just so ready to not be in a structure that like was such a random amount of time for things or like would be in a sprint. Because as in college, it's like 3 weeks, you're chilling, you're doing whatever, and then it's all of a sudden Thanksgiving and every teacher wants everything. And you're in Maine, it's cold, it's wet, we're
Right.
not going outside. We don't have large park. No one's throwing a frizz as much as they used to and stuff. It's not like we're a big ski town at Orono. We have a solid hill here and there, but no one's
One
going to
hill,
Breck.
one like
Yeah,
decent hill.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so obviously it's like such a big infrastructure issue,
Yeah.
more than it is what we're supplying. And I don't know if this is a good segue, but I was like, I'm really baffled on the I don't know if this is I don't know if we can talk about this, but I just like I feel like in so many different ways these like millionaire billionaires that are now somehow in our like Congress and are just around like we know there's always been billionaires with politicians in their back pocket and whatever.
Right.
But like that's always been there, and the same with corporations. We're just now just more
Right.
seeing it blatantly. Um, is just like um such like extraction. And I don't know if this is like an idea, but like rich people suck. Like in most and it's a slightly different way than I think we all know now or is often like portrayed. But it's like the new rich suck. In a sense of like it's all these like tech guys, they're all like kind of away. They sort of find these places to extract and exploit whatever resources, either it's
Yeah.
people, land, whatever.
Or like
And there's like,
influencers or whoever get
yeah,
rich.
exactly. So it's like in that sense, it's sort of strange, but it's also been happening for a while of like the why like Europe obviously Europe is a lot older and obviously there were times where it just wasn't an option. But if like most places where people live, if you drive down like a busy like industrial park, it's just like gas station, like factory, McDonald's. Like there's no one like people built those, but there's no like joy in where they're living. That's why like college towns are so popular. Like, oh, I just walk around everywhere. There's like big buildings, and the same with Europe. It's like people just lived in the town. The resources were there. No one was like
Mm.
bringing in people from elsewhere. Like it was just like wanting to make things look nice. You're like,
Yeah.
they can still be done now. It's just no one wants to build it. Or like it's not as done, but it's like it's not. Obviously, people have different visual design has changed so much, but it's like there's a good tech talk about like this town that like changed some infrastructure in regards to like trails and walkable paths. And it's a great TED talk. It's called The Town That Lost 1,000 Pounds, I think.
Okay.
Um, and it's just about this town near, I think Atlanta, I want to say. We got to fact check this, but they just changed some simple initiatives
Mm.
and some things in their infrastructure about like giving people like the access outside in different places uh to get their health up. And like there are just so many infrastructure things that I think would help. That, but then as well, we're kind of, it's been noted of like food's about to get real pricey too, in many different economic ways. If not to get, I guess, too political, as I don't have too much
Yeah,
depth,
well,
but beyond just the,
the
it's
the
like,
food one is interesting because, you know, the and we'll probably have to go on our when we come back from the this second break.
mhm,
But the
yeah,
food one is super interesting because it's not just about like the cost of growing it, right? Like it's the cost of transporting it
yeah,
too, and the costs of keeping it fresh. And while it's really good that we're not putting stuff on food that's harmful to people, a lot of the reason
yeah,
we put that stuff on the food is to keep it fresh because, like I don't know if you've ever made homemade bread, but it's good to eat for like 3 days and then it starts to get pretty stale.
yeah.
And
Same with most.
another problem is like in America, there's only so many states that you can grow year round. So the probably the
Yeah,
top third of the country, you can only grow food for so much. And harvests come and they go. And if we're gonna go old school organic, then we're gonna risk some unreliable harvests. And
yeah,
that's going to drive prices outside of, you know, importing it from another country, outside of what gas prices are, all of that sort of stuff. Like there's just so many variables and so many levers to pull. And one
yeah,
thing that, yeah, I find interesting is back, I think it was like in 1920, it was like about 80% of homes had some sort of a garden to them, whereas now it's about 5% of homes do. So you have 5% of homes who could like supplement their food in like a pinch, but like how long is that going to last? Maybe a week if you're
yeah,
lucky. Like the number of people who have a farm where they can just throw food out and so, like look after themselves is very few. And it ends up being a lot of these tech billionaires who have the
yeah.
money, who they bought a farm and now they're looking after themselves, where it's like I don't have enough money to buy 30 acres of land. So this is your major.
Yeah. Or was, yeah, double major or double one major, one minor of anthropology and sustainable food systems. And one of that being that um yeah, so like 1920s to like up till the world wars, we like started needing to make food to just like feed people. And then around 1970, what was called the Green Revolution was the scientist was trying to go out and like feed the world. And so he cross bred a corn stalk, a corn plant with a wheat plant, so that the stalk could be taller for the corn and thicker, so it would hold it, and then the corn would be much more like we see it today, unless like the baby corn that naturally kind of, or like the wheat stalk,
Yeah.
um, can naturally grow. So I kind of like started that, but after a lot of years, a lot of farmers here in the US kind of go off the big three of like soy, corn, and wheat probably, um, as ways to make ends meet so that at the end of a harvest, those are the things that the government subsidizes. And so they are guaranteed money, at the end, if even if they have a bad harvest. The problem with this is that, it kind of keeps them stuck and potentially has a lot of our farmers, one, going hungry, or two, um, kind of on welfare essentially, because they're only only operating in the guarantee of that subsidy of what they're growing. When they have a bad year, they're not treating it well, then they're kind of stuck on this farm in the land. But in that sense too, and there's like a whole era of like the pesticides that we put on and the herbicides that are needed in monocropping different things. So there's definitely even in the
Well,
production
just
many
like
things,
just the use of
food.
DDT in the early part of the 1900s, late 1800s wrecked have obviously it was needed to keep a lot of the crops from bugs and stuff like that, but the health effects it had on people horrifying and caused all
Yeah,
sorts of problems
yeah,
with
obviously,
like parasitical
yeah.
infections and that sort of thing because it just destroyed the gut's ability to fight off such like those things. A lot of it, like it affects, I believe it affects immunoglobulin levels quite hefty, but like the other option is to lose
I
the
mean, it
entire
also used
harvest.
sure, and then also DDT was created after Agent Orange, which
Mm.
was used in the Vietnam War to essentially deforest the Vietnamese jungle while they were fighting, and then seeped into the water and caused many years of birth defects on
You
both
said Agent Orange came after
and health
DDT?
effects. Yeah, it was Agent
Okay.
Orange, and then Agent Orange turned into DDT,
So
which
no,
then
but
also turned
what
into
was
Roundup.
well, yeah, glyphosate, yeah. What was the one that they were using in the 1920s, like the early 1900s? There was a pesticide that
I don't know if they were used.
well, they were used, it was like something you would just spray on, like they would used to spray it directly on the food sometimes. Let me look this up. Let me
It
get
seems a
this.
little early for that. Um, I know early like preservatives were up in question, so people used to use formaldehyde
Lead
from this.
arsenate.
Oh, there you go.
Lead arsenate. What was that that was what they were using. I'm trying to find the name of it.
Yeah, they also used formaldehyde for many meat preservatives from the Civil War when they would
Yeah.
want to preserve the bodies from the battlefield.
Yeah. No,
And
they were so yeah, they used it they were basically spraying lead and arsenic onto all the agriculture. And then
yeah,
people were eating it.
yeah, it's fine.
That was what was destroying their
No,
guts. Yeah, it was the lead and the arsenic. Okay. And then DDT came after that in like the middle of the 1900s. And
yeah,
then
like 60s, 70s.
60s, 70s, yeah, after Vietnam.
Yeah.
We got that right. Okay.
It's called yeah, and now it's called Roundup. Anyway,
How widespread is
but
glyphosate still used and Roundup still used? I know you can buy it, but like as far as
I mean it's like a different, but that's where it's from.
because they've been sued a lot for obviously,
Yeah,
like you said, it causes a number of issues. And I didn't think
yeah.
they were allowed to use it, but like kind or like I'm not sure. I'm trying
But
to
anyway, yeah, it's a little
anyway.
bit funky. I think it kind of gets into like kind of I think what people think of. I think it definitely gets into it definitely gets tough because of how like separated rural and suburb like rural and urban settings are.
Mhm.
Um, you're not no one's connected to the land that things are coming from. And people just don't know anymore. But I also think, you just kind of like hope for this, but like, yeah, it's, a capitalistic society, so this is a
Yeah.
tough hope to hope for, but it's very hard not
Well,
to think that, hold on, that like the people who are in charge of this would be considered to be more benevolent to those that it might impact than to just go for the profit.
yeah, I think well, one of the things is so back in I want to say the mid 1800s, I believe this was in England. They had an issue where with like milk poisoning in babies because the
Yeah.
cows that they were getting the milk from had all these pusses and sores and all sorts of stuff on them that would get in, and then they would try to feed the babies, and the babies would get poisoned from this. And they had a big issue of spoiled meat. And one of the things
Hmm.
that they would do with spoiled meat is they would try to make it into sausage or pickle it and cure it to make like ham. And if it was too far gone, they would just feed it back to the animals, essentially. The animals would eat it, and then they would keep those animals. And this was something that the working class just had to eat. And it was part of the reason,
Yeah.
like, one of the books I'm reading right now is about like we think of the 1800s, we think of the Civil War, we think of these like westerns, we think of all that sort of stuff, and we think of like Great Gatsby's 1800s, right, or early 1900s. Um,
Sure.
we think of those stuff, but what we don't think about is just the conditions of the working class life was awful.
Sure.
Like a lot of people who would
Yeah.
go into these areas compared it to like the conditions that slaves were in on the slave trade, just inhumane conditions.
Sure.
And you know, you
Yeah.
had kids as young as 4 having to work in coal mines and all sorts of stuff. And
Yeah.
none of this stuff got fixed until
Yeah.
essentially the food started to be consumed by rich people. Once the rich people started getting the meats that were all sort of diseased and stuff, then they're like, all right, we need to start implementing standards and regulations to make sure that this doesn't happen. Right. And so I
Yeah.
feel like it's the same thing over and over again of, you know, the food crisis could be fixed, but it's
Yeah.
probably
Sure.
not going to be fixed until the people who have the most influence in fixing it are
Yeah.
affected by it. And
Yeah.
what I wonder is obviously, a lot of the current administration is trying to move production home. And there's a big
Mhm.
debate about can America even produce all of the food it needs just
Yeah.
based on our land that we have? Because it's not like you need to produce the exact amount. You need to produce a lot more than that because something could happen and you need to have reserves and you need to store this
Yeah.
food somewhere. And so we don't, as it currently stands, have the infrastructure to just produce all of our food, right? And like people talk about, you know, oh, we can just convert this field of corn into this, you know, regenerative agriculture pasture, and we can make all this meat. But it's like you said, like that corn is the only one of the few crops that that farmer's making money on. It's not
Yeah.
like he can just 86 it and be like, all right, well, we'll put, you know, a couple cows out here in a new grass field. Like it's going to take years to build up a pasture, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't happen overnight. And I
Yeah.
wonder, like, you know, that sudden shift, if I feel like everybody's going to feel it as far
Sure.
as what's available, where there will be some foods that will be fine because we just produce a lot of them anyway. And that's going to be no issue. But there's going to be a lot of like fruit. We import most of our fruit, I believe. And China is a big importer. I believe we get a lot of our
Yeah.
fruit. I believe a lot of the world gets a lot of their fruit from China. And, you know, if everyone loves apples, but we only have so many apples. And,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
you
It
know,
kind
I
of
just
gets,
wonder, like, you mean you studied this. So, like, what is a reasonable, if the goal is we want to be able to produce a lot of our own food so we're not reliant on other people, what is like a realistic goal that we could achieve assuming we did things intelligently, which is a big assumption.
it's a big assumption for sure. Um, mm, Goodness. I think that one of the things that I've seen or has been discussed is that a lot there is still a lot of potential for oh, wow, I can't even remember the name of it, but not what's the type of farming? It's or like organic farming, in terms of making the farm into more of an ecosystem
Oh,
than just,
permaculture.
yeah, in that regard too. But I remember hearing a couple of podcasts about people who own farms in, kind of like the Midwest, big corn, wheat culture for miles and miles. And then they changed it up, and um, there's they saved so much because they didn't have to use those fertilizers and those pesticides as much, because then the ecosystem that they had created for this food was already taking care of
Right.
itself. And so there's
Yeah.
like a big money issue, but I think they also just mentioned, I think it was like an NPR, I can't remember the podcast. I think it was like like a agriculture podcast that I found. But they're just mentioning of like more than the fact that it worked, um, there's also like a culture around it that like we've
Mm.
been doing this for like a minute, and I think, or a lot of intercropping or organic farming looks messy because it
Mm.
looks untended to. And corn is like all corn, it's in rows, and it looks like, put together, where like organic doesn't, because you have different varieties of things, different grasses and whatever, if you decide to do cattle or if you decide to do other things. Um, but yeah, there's just like a culture that there's kind of like a backlash from the people that he was farming around, that like his didn't look as well put together because it's not like in the square, like
Yeah.
it's very untamed.
Well,
But
this
it
is this
restored the
is
land that he had.
yeah, this is the problem is like, I'm a big fan of permaculture. I love permaculture. I love I think his name's Andrew Millison on YouTube. He teaches it out
Yeah,
at the University of Oregon or something, but he posts like all the lectures online and he talks about like, how to set up these systems. And like you said, it looks wild. It looks like you've just completely let the thing go. But, it's nothing new. The natives were doing it for a very long time with corn and beans and squash is like the
yeah,
OG Three Sisters. Everybody knows about that
yeah.
one, but you can do it with tons of different ones. And,
Sure.
you know, I think I've seen what you're talking about where the guy had converted everything. And, you know, the only thing that like I wondered about was his output, because what I have found is when I do sort of a permaculture based garden, and granted, this is a very small scale, but what I find is it kind of goes up year, down year, up year, down year, where I get a harvest,
Mhm.
but I get a big harvest. And then the next year I get kind of like a third less. And then the next year I get
Mhm.
that third back. And it kind of goes in these nutrient cycles, which maybe you could get
Yeah,
around by just cover cropping and having different places and moving everything around. But again,
yeah,
it's the
part of it.
the factory farming, whatever you think of it, does produce mass amounts. But then there's the thing of
Sure.
like how much goes to waste. So if we're
Yeah.
losing 33% or whatever, was that 33% was just going to go to waste anyway and we're still fine?
That's also like 33, or like, um if it stayed domestic. Like
Right.
like part of the a book I really recommend is the like Fresh Fruits Broken Bodies, is like, it is essentially about this like anthropologist who's the MD, and he ends up doing the like migrant trail from Oaxaca, Mexico, up into like a strawberry farm in California.
Mhm.
And one of like the reasons that a lot of the people in Oaxaca were leaving for these jobs was because the US flooded the market with such large and cheap amounts of corn that like
Oh,
they were no longer able to compete in the world market. So then there's not as many jobs. So they had to like find work elsewhere. So they start they're making their way to uh California or the US to work on farms.
interesting.
But yeah, I think there have been a lot of studies and on if you do like cover crops or crop rotations that you can do the same output as
Ooh.
a conventional farm.
So would
Um,
the thing standing in the way just be changing subsidies around?
yeah, I don't know if I have all the answers to that, but it's like culturally or it is still a risk, and some people just like security. Um, every land is different, so I wouldn't want to assume anything, and I don't know if that's necessarily the answer, but I feel like if we had more uh good, more of that, more of those farms popping off, then I think our food system would be better for it. And like you can even look up with there was like a study done where like things are all connected too, as we all know.
Right.
But it's like they were doing studies of like farms in Idaho that were like or farms way up no north, kind of like in the Idaho, Montana region, and the amount of uh, pesticide, herbicide runoff was going into the water sources going down the Colorado River, created a dead zone inside the Gulf of Mexico
Mm.
from all the pesticides that were being used on the farm. And they were
Jeez.
like killing fish in the Gulf of Mexico because of the water runoff. I can share my screen if you'd like. Um,
Goodness.
Hold on. Herbicide
Yeah, let's see
runoff
this. I know
to
as you're while you're doing that, I know
um
that one thing
yeah.
that you can do
Sorry. Hold
for
on,
your
sorry. Gulf of America. My bad.
Gulf of America. Oh, that's I didn't even catch that. We're gonna get in trouble now. We just
Yeah.
lost social credit score points. There one thing that that Christine Jones lady had talked about was why it's really dumb to use fertilizer. And it has to do with basically when you
Yeah.
put fertilizer in the ground, depending on the acidity, it generally becomes inorganic very quickly and the plants can't use it. And or you can't use most of it
Yeah.
because what they need is they need the fungal network. This fungal network is what allows these plants to,
Mhm.
healthy biomes. Like we have a gut biome, skin biome. They have root biomes and leaf biomes and all that good stuff. And one of the things that I had seen was, and maybe this was that fungus guy from Joe Rogan, but the trees all talk to each other underground, right? And when you have a very old tree, that becomes like
Right.
the mother tree basically, and it becomes like a guardian for everything around. And it can do it for trees, but I believe it can also do it for non-tree plants, and they can share part of their biome. And so when you go out and you plant a garden and you plant it in this field that's not near anything, and there's no, like, everything in the field just gets turned over every year, that you lose you there's many other things you lose that cause you lose the network, the fungal network, but you have no like
Mhm.
guardian angel, sort of like that. You don't have that no village elder. Whereas when you have these permacultural systems, you end up having tree lines and other things that are around where you're planting. And so when you put those plants in, let's say you put a bunch of crops in and you put like a bunch of corn and you put a bunch of beans and you put a bunch of squash in, right? And you have it near this tree line. And let's say some of these trees are very water resistant, like they do well with floods, that sort of thing. if a flood were to happen on the
Yeah,
field, it can share that bacteria with those corn and the squash and the beans to help fortify them against the flood, and it protects them from getting waterlogged and getting rotten and dying. But you don't have that when you have a
sure.
monocrop culture. And you can do the same thing with flowers and all these other, but it has to be like perennial stuff. It can't be annual stuff. It needs to be established and be able to establish itself within that system. It's really incredible what it can do and what the plants are able to do.
Yeah.
And it's even more incredible to think
Um,
about what the fungal network is such an important part of that. And then from that comes mushrooms. And then we take those mushrooms and we just get super high off of them. But we can also like fix
hmm.
PTSD and stuff. Do you have that
Yeah.
study?
Yeah, that's a key part.
Share your screen.
On a side note, I was like, I just what if I just like started taking mushrooms and then like put on like positive affirmations just to see if I could, fix my brain.
Mustard
I don't know.
mushrooms.
It's
I'll tell
given
you
me
this. I've done mushrooms recently and not like psychedelic mushrooms, but I
yeah,
took
really
these mushrooms called the
like the
Garicon.
the portobellos.
I took the portobellos and I
Oh,
went to a different universe. But
sure.
I took a Garicon and turkey tail, and I had seen people
Mm,
at the Department of Defense had been studying giving it to people with vaccines because one of the issues with vaccines is some people don't have a big enough immune response and they don't produce a lot of antibodies, but some people have too big of an immune
mm,
response and they get a lot of like they have like a lot of diseases and other things that come from that. And so it's like, how do we control the immune response? And what mushrooms can do is provide some sort of immune modulation. And so they gave the mushrooms to the people who got the COVID shot, and it helped keep the immune response within that gold zone, but also help them to continue to produce antibodies 6 months beyond people who only just got the shot. So it made the shot safer and more effective just by taking the mushrooms. And so because I had been dealing
yeah.
with COVID stuff, I took the mushrooms to see. And the next day, my ability to exercise went up 50%. It was crazy. Like a very profound
Nice.
impact immediately that I noticed. And so I've
Yeah.
taken mushrooms every day since. And now it seems that the beta glucans in the mushrooms help us cut our detox time for forever chemicals and pesticides and all this. We can detox them out of our body in about half the time. So it cuts it from about 3 years to a year and a half by taking beta glucans.
Yeah. Yeah. So kind of circling back, I am not able to share my screen.
You try it now.
Zoom settings. But you can on the Nature Conservancy, the impact of the dead zone. You can learn all about the dead zone that's being caused, but also a lot of people
You should be able to
like.
share your screen now.
Let me see. Let's find out. Oh, look at that.
All right, let's see the
You can
dead
see.
zone.
So this is the dead zone, or like what it's about. So you can kind of see how it like flows down to the Mississippi watershed. The Mississippi
So
watershed.
for people who are watching, there's
Or
basically
listening.
5 areas that are color coded that are sort of in the middle of America. You have a green area that goes from like North Dakota area
These are
down
the
into
rivers, and so
maybe
it's
you're
all
better.
kind of
Are you better with
all flowing.
geography? You explain it. Go ahead.
It's just like a map with the river showing how it all like kind of goes into the Gulf of Mexico. And so all these areas of like our major farmlands, like the Midwest and Idaho and the lower belts in the
Oklahoma,
south, that they all kind of
Tennessee,
flow
Ohio.
into. There's not a whole lot of pictures, but was being done about it. Legislation like the Restore Act and the Farm Bill play critical roles in protecting the country's natural resources, so they work with farmers to put less. Over the past 40 years, about 70 to 80% of additional food needed by our growing population has come from the uh, intensification of farming on existing acres. It's simple. We don't do anything to conserve soil or reduce nutrient loss on
Mm.
existing cropland. We'll have to clear more land, and we'll continue to have growing dead zones in the Gulf. Um, so
Goodness
this is sort of
gracious.
like an argument against or for. And then I did some, I don't know if it will show you this, but like on ChatGPT, the like can organic farming keep up um with it? And there are some, like you said, kind of like the output, the yield gaps, and it takes some time. It's more labor intensive and
Mm.
has a higher production cost, but some other things. And like scalability. So I think this is also what gets into it too, was that like I thought about this too, where it's like good to have smaller, like if we had farms, but then more farms that were doing this. So it's like they're smaller, like could be smaller, more independent farms than like the big,
Mm.
like conventional. So we're not centralizing the agricultural power to the companies that own those farms and the land.
Can you ask ChatGPT who are the biggest owners of farmland right now in the US?
Yes. I want to say,
But I know Bill Gates is up there.
I want to say Kellogg's
Kellogg's is definitely up there.
and Monsanto.
Biggest owners. Let me get a list here.
Uh,
Bill
Bill
Gates,
Gates, number
number
one.
one.
There he goes. Number one,
There we go.
baby. Um, the Mormon Church.
Yeah, the Mormons do have a lot.
They would. The
The
Office.
Offutt family.
Yeah, you're not
Acquired
on it. You're off it.
McDonald's.
All right.
Okay.
Gallo, Broswell.
Stuart and Linda Resnick. Can you go back up? Resnick.
Yeah.
Wonderful company. Almonds,
Make a lot
pistachios,
of nuts.
citrus. The Gallo family, grapevine production. Boswell family, cotton and tomatoes. T-Bone Pickens estate.
T Boone. I think it's a boon.
Oh,
Who owes?
T. Boone Pickens. 100,000 plus acres, mostly ranch land in Texas and California.
Hmm.
Ted Turner, John Malone, Emerson family, blah, blah, blah. Yeah,
Good for
interesting.
him.
I
But
was wondering because I had thought I had read something about China buying up a lot of our farmland.
oh yeah, they do that too. But this could also be like um another section. But yeah, to sort of there's this is sort of like something I call like trapdoor histories where like it's such a long, like you can really just go down this rabbit hole for forever of like what
Yeah,
this
you
is all
can.
um and sort of to wrap up. But I think the sort of biggest takeaways to kind of wrap this all up was just like whatever you can, and I think most people find this is like whatever can be sustainable for
Hmm.
you is and what you enjoy is what's going to be sustainable. And that's kind of what I'm finding now is like what's not like what's sustainable and what keeps me like both social and active because I don't want to just like I don't know, not just be for the intensity of the workout, but just like help be more mobile and like stay lean more without thinking about it.
Hmm.
Obviously it takes time and people's efforts and it's sort of like a huge mental battle more than it is a physical one, so it's tough to say what people can do, but it's sort of like if you can find a first step, then you can find a second one. So it's sort of what to kind of leave on, and especially if you can find more things. Yeah, what works for you? Because that's sort of like the unfortunate part right now is that like, do diets work? Technically, yes, because you lost the weight in a
Right.
short amount of time. You did lose it. You just didn't want the lifestyle change. So then it
Hmm.
came back. And so if you find something that is sustainable and can be more attuned to your lifestyle or a lifestyle that you want to sort of grow, then it will stick because there are short-term things for diets and then long-term for lifestyle. So technically diets do work, but in the sense that in what time frame is sort of more of the question.
Peter, thank you so much for being the first guest on my podcast.
Hey, you're
This was
welcome.
so much
Back.
fun.
I'm glad.
I forgot we were recording.
Yeah, I remember we like attempted this. You were like attempting this podcast during quarantine, and we were so aware of the camera that we're like, excuse me.
I really think the camera gets in the way. Like,
Yeah,
if it
for sure.
gets to the point where people actually listen, and the only people going to hear this are like my friends and family, unless
Nice.
you share it with your friends and whatever. But um, yeah, if it gets to that point, we'll get a camera. But
Yeah.
you know, I think just cameras off and you can just talk and you get a way better conversation. And what I was saying too is I don't think anyone's going to really listen. Not because neither of us are interesting, just because of I think the other podcasts that dropped this week were like yesterday, Theo Vaughn and the vice president, and
Yeah,
then
we're
Joe
definitely up
Rogan and
there.
the head of the FBI. So I'm
Yeah,
guessing we're not going to be at the top of the ratings this week,
for
but
sure.
you
We're
know,
also like riddled with information like gaps.
yeah, that's also true. It'll get better. I'm going to keep doing it because I think at the
Nice.
very
Good.
least, when I'm 95, I'll have
Sure.
all of these conversations I can go back and listen to with all of my friends and my family, and some of
Oh,
whom
that's
may not be
really
around anymore. And I
nice.
think
Yeah.
more than just like a journal entry of like, oh, Peter and I had a chat about, you know, the buttermilk bandits today or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. Or
That I'll be able
look
to
at how
listen back and
young
like
and
hear people's voices and
look
all
at how
that sort
young
of
we
thing.
all were. That's kind of why I have journals. Like I've kept in some form of journal since like seventh grade. So I like have a stack of journals to pass on. It will be unfortunate if like uh they're like, oh, we don't want these. But it's been fun to do that too, to like kind of
Yeah,
pass that on. Like my kids can look and like know what I was thinking in my early 20s, how it was like right
right.
after college and like all that
Absolutely.
like random stuff that I don't know if I was necessarily looking for, but could use more of. But yeah, I think maybe next obviously it's very fun to not have a structure, but I think we could have some topics to get ready for the next one.
Next
When
time
I'm
we'll be in
in
person.
person.
Next time
Yeah.
we'll be in person when you come up to
Nice.
Maine. We'll do the next one with Tim.
Uh, yeah. I'll be in but that should be like early August, early to mid-August is when
Perfect. Book it. All right. Let's blow this joint. Bye, everybody.
I'm bye.